Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well today. My name is Digital Dragon. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Means we do everything from machine unboxings like the X1 Carbons over here to full up printer builds like our Vorons, beta testing like the Box Turtles, several Fadus hot ends and hot ends from Luke's lab. So a little bit of everything basically. I hope everyone's doing well today. And yeah, without too much into this, we'll go ahead and just get started. I have not streamed in a few days. I apologize for that. My brother went in and had shoulder surgery yesterday, so I after having the Maker Meetup, Raleigh Maker Meetup that we hosted down at Ecovate on Saturday. I got up Sunday morning, had breakfast with Miss Dragon and Evil Diesel, and then headed up to Virginia on about a 5-hour drive. Hey, Free Heathen, how you're doing? Hope you're doing well. Spent the night up there on Sunday. Brother had his surgery Monday, and then I got up today and drove back. So, been a little bit crazy. I had to be back by today just for some stuff with work. Where I have to be in the office tomorrow. So did not have a lot of time to get things planned and did not get things fixed the way I wanted to in preparation for the stream. But yeah, we're just going to sit here and open up a little bit of mail. We're going to look at some of the information from the P2S launch. I have not looked at anything. Right. So it's literally going to be, hey, let's pull up the Bamboo page and take a look at the specs and everything. And I'm going to have to start watching the videos of the folks that had look ahead units. Hey, 3D Printer Shack, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. I will say my machines over here, well, this one's been acting up a bit, but it's not really the machine. It's the spools. Now, what I'm printing here is some stuff in Zombie Hedgehog Galaxy Red. What did I do with that first piece? Yeah. Zombie Hedgehog Galaxy Red. Right? Very, very beautiful color. It's got some nice little sparkle fleck in it. It might be a little bit hard for this to pick up, but it's there. The issue that I was running into as I was trying to remotely do this from 5 hours up the road was what do they call it? It wasn't the extruder motor, but the AMS loading motor here getting overloaded. And the reason it does that is when they vacuum seal those wooden spools, it bends over the edge of a spool. So it doesn't track right. And so every once in a while, that bend just gets a little bit increased because it's right there where it gives it a tug as it's hitting that spool guide, and it kind of not bottoms out, but flattens even a little bit more, and it causes it to drag. And so that would be one feedback that I have to Polymaker is when they're sucking these spools down, and I don't know if this one here has the same issue. Where was it? I just had one here. Oh, there it is. Yes. We'll go bench side for this. You see how this is smashed over? Hey, Liz. This is the only issue I have with cardboard spools from Polymaker. Because when you run them in an AMS, the ACE, or anything else that has a roller, this being smashed over and it having any type of guide is going to cause some additional drag on it. And if it's right as it's given another tug, when this hits that that roller guide area at the bottom, it'll bottom out and squish it even more. And you have problems. Now, normally it's one of those things where you just tell it when it says that the motor's overloaded, it does its cut and spool back. Just say problem's fixed. And every once in a while I have to do that once or twice because that just going forward and back is enough to loosen that spool some, or at least the winding of the spool some, that it doesn't pull right at that same spot and you can get past that. But it's just a pain in the butt when you're running a print and you're doing it remotely and you constantly have to fiddle with it. Or better yet, you know, there's this thing called sleep and you're sleeping, and this does it like 5 minutes after you go to sleep. And now your hot end will turn off after it does its rewind, but that build plate is sitting there keeping 50 whatever C the entire night. So it's consuming energy and you're not getting any further in your print. So I still think that there is something that needs to be looked at with these spools. And these are relative. I mean, Zombie stuff just came out recently. These don't have that rubber dipped edge. So, and I'm not calling out Zombie spool as a bad thing because I've got a lot of Polymaker spools that are like that, but that's the only frustration I've had right now with this print that's going on because, you know, a 16-hour print and it keeps stopping. And then the other thing is on BambuLab, right? Unless somebody on here can tell me, I cannot find a way through the Handy app or the like app interface to force fail it from one spool to another. In other words, I had lane 3 going with Zombie Hedgehog and it kept doing that catch and fail where it was overloading. I had 2 spools here. It will not let me just tell it to go over to lane 4 without having lane 3 pulled completely out. I can't auto fail it over to another lane. But let me see who all popped in. We have Free Heathen. We have 3D Printer Shack. Hey, Eagle the Dragon. The Mad Owl. Hey, how's it going? Brother is recovering well. The nerve block is starting to wear off. They did a nerve block on his left shoulder. So he's finally able to start moving his digits, but not really much more than that. But yeah, he's doing well. Welcome in, Liz. Doing research on your Triduum 2 Pro as I bought an upgraded tool head for it. Going to go from a V6 hot end to a Dragon high flow, and you've never swapped a hot end on Clipper before. It's really not that hard. Thermistor setting and the heater is the heater. Really, it's just make sure you got the right voltage heater and that your thermistor, that you know what type of thermistor you're putting in, so you know how to update the thermistor sensor for the extruder and clipper. Should go rather well. Atomic Spark, how's it going? Yeah. Well, in this case, it's not shipping damage. It is literally the shrink wrapping, because it doesn't go all the way to the edge. Like the filament's not going all the way to the edge of the spool. When they shrink wrap it, it's putting a lot of pressure on those edges and it can roll an edge over. All right, sounds good, Liz. Take it easy. That would be great, Wick Allen. In fact, oh wait. I've got a set of plastic sides. I've got a set of plastic sides that have the pegs on them. Let's see, here's a spool. Here's a spool. What's different in these two spools? See, this is the even more annoying part is we have these files, but which ones do I print? And how many of which version do I need to have on hand? Because I keep getting different spools with different holes in them. And if I get the ones that don't have the pegs in them, that just have the edges, I've had those come off and cause all kinds of problems in a AMS. Color code, yeah, yeah. But that's just that's one of my frustrations. And once again, that is not just a polymaker problem. It's anybody that does the cardboard spools. It's great for recyclability and stuff, but when they shrink wrap them or vacuum bag them, they just have to be careful when they vacuum bag them that they don't like just done. And I know it's a setting, it's just, hey, let's tweak the setting a little bit on the vacuum the vacuum bagger. But anyhow, not a lot of complaining. Hey, Evil Diesel, how's it going? A couple of things that came in recently were some new Panda Claws. I ordered a couple of Panda Claws, and I also ordered some of these. These are BQ's replacement for the scrubbers on a, what did I do with the, what did I do with that? Over here? Did I actually throw something away? That's awesome. So on the Bamboo, you've got that little like vacuum formed spring with a little piece of PTFE tube, and that's what they use to scrub the nozzle. Well, the problem is over time that tube or that springy thing gets bent over to one side or the other, and it stops working. So Waters gave me one of these to try out, and this bottom base is aluminum, and then you've got your little scrubbers that you can slide in and out, your little silicone scrubbers. So I've got these now for all three of the Bamboos, the two X1Cs and Mrs. Dragon's P1S. So I can put those on there. The gears I got because, well, you got to do maintenance, and sometimes it might just be easier to pull one set of gears out, put a fresh set in, and then go through and clean the old set. So I had some issues with the X1C. This is DD3D X1C001. This is my oldest one here. And I had an issue. I was trying to print some nylon gears for Evil Diesel, actually for Toby Saurus down at Ecovate, but it was Evil Diesel because we were building them or giving them a whole set of parts for a drag racer. And we needed to print some nylon, so I was going to print the direct drive gears in PA612CF to make sure that they were pretty robust. And I was trying to load the filament. It was perfectly dry. It was like 11% and a poly dryer, printing right out of the poly dryer as an external into the X1C, and it wasn't loading. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I took the tool head apart, and there was no clog in the tool head, but I wound up having to take the extruder apart, and there was like a little plug that was stuck in the extruder gears, and the extruder gears were all kind of gummed up. So when you put these gears in, whether it's these gears or the bamboo gears, you have to put some grease on them to make them not make a lot of noise and to help them last longer. Well, just over, let's see, how many hours do I have on this now? The menu's all changed on me. Dang it, I updated it, now I'm like, I'm lost. Whereas 2,788 hours. So yeah, coming up on 3,000 hours on this printer. And yeah, I haven't been doing preventative maintenance. So all your printers, you've got filament that is being run through these and it generates dust, right? There's teeth on these extruders and it's generating dust, and you add dust to grease and things get mucked up. Those rollers, when I took it out, were not spinning very easily. And I sat there with a set of picks and was digging all of that grime out of the gears, both the big gear and the smaller gear that syncs with the idler on both sides, and got most of the gunk out, wiped it down with some IPA, re-greased it, and it was spinning very easily at that point. So you've got to do that. You've got to go through and wipe down your rods, and wipe down your lead screws, and then come back and re-lubricate your lead screws. Right? You've got to do that. I know it'll come up and say, hey, time to lubricate your lead screws. And most people just add a little bit more grease down them and run the bed up and down. You got to clean all that old stuff off, that black stuff. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Welcome in. So yeah, it sparked something with me and Evil Diesel as another, I want to say side hustle, but another service that we could do for the business, and that's preventive maintenance services. I know there's a couple of local print farms out here near me that are currently driving all the way into Raleigh and taking their printers off the line, throwing them in the car and taking them out to Raleigh to be serviced. But that's when something's broken that they can't fix. And I think what would be better is to be able to come in, have them on a schedule that says, hey, we're coming in on this day, give them an advance notice, give them a schedule, and say, we're coming in on this day, we're going to take 2 or 3 machines at a time, fully go through and clean the rods, clean the stuff, take the tool heads apart, clean up and re-grease the extruders and everything, and just make sure they're in good condition. And then we'll come back and do another batch, right? We just go through and do a batch. That way they don't have a large number of printers down at any one time, so they can continue to do their prints and their farm stuff, but they're going through and having routine maintenance done so that they don't hopefully have a catastrophic failure that could have just been, hey, we didn't go through and clean things and I seized a bearing in an extruder that I can't easily replace, right? So yeah, I mean, that's one of those things. I mean, it just, me and Evil Diesel, we're prior military, and that's what we, part of the job was doing preventive maintenance on things. And when you don't, then it just makes the replacement job so much harder. But yeah, how's it going, Atomic Spark? And see, that's the other thing. I know that this one over here and on the far side, the lane 1 squeaks to high heaven, so it may just be a dead bearing in the front roller. It could be something else. So I gotta at some point take that AMS down completely and tear into it and see what I need to do. So I got a box from West 3D, and I've got a caramel apple sucker that's a little, it's had a better day here or there. I need to tell them to just stop sending me stickers. Either that or take them to a show and just lay them at their booth. All righty. So we got a few things in the box from West 3D. These are things that I ordered, by the way. You've been hearing me say that we're going to go through and update a lot of the box turtles. Well, that's what this box is primarily for. So I've got 4 sets of the injection molded trays from LDO, right? Let's flip over here to this side. So we've got 4 set of the injection molded trays. There's 4 in each box. They're really not that expensive. The nice thing is there's no need to print these. The injection molded is really good. These overhangs are fabulous when you injection mold them. And it's set and prepped and ready to go with the desiccant box. I don't think, the actual desiccant boxes themselves are not in here. So you will have to print the desiccant box and the cover. But everything else is there. You've got the LDO logo embedded on that. So that'll be a nice little easy upgrade. There is a thing of heat sets in here that'll be used to install heat sets in the bottom of these. But yeah, that's going to make printing out the parts and updating 4 of the box turtles that I have a lot easier. The other thing that's going to be a lot easier is I got some sets. These are the Big Tree Tech IO boards. All right. So these are boards that go on the back side of the box turtle. And where we normally have that hole that we run the CAN bus cable into, this will basically allow us to think of like a PC rear panel. Hey, Killer Prince, how's it going? So fix it before it goes. Yeah. So basically, you're going to have the internal side and the external side. So this will give you the CAN bus in and a CAN bus out. USB-C. Whoops. Now, USB-C, I think this is your hub, or if you're running the turtleneck or turtleneck 2, your CAN bus, and then power. And on the internal side, you'll have USB-C pass-through. You'll have your in-stop pass-through for your turtleneck or turtleneck 2.0 buffer. And then you'll have the CAN bus on the inside that goes to the AFC board. So normally you'll see these with the people that get the full enclosure kit all in one box turtle. Okay. If you're like me and you've got a box turtle and you buy the enclosure kit, you won't get this by default. You'll have to order this separately. I think they're like $14 or $15, but it comes with the board. And the board, let's see, we've got a couple of heat set inserts, some screws, and the JSTs for doing the in-stop switches for the turtleneck or turtleneck 2. And you're like, well, what about the rest of the cables? Well, there you go. That'll be your internal CAN bus and cables that go from the board to the AFC. So all of that's included in the kit. So I've got 4 of these boards, 4 of the trays, and I also have 4 sets somewhere. Now I got to find out what I did with those. I'm pretty sure I ordered 4 sets of the rubber wheels, simply because that's, yes, you can print them out of TPU. I actually like the way the cleanliness of those wheels look after having built a couple of the kits. So I figured that's a good idea, is to go and get those. All right. So that's going to make updating the box turtles easier. Remember that this box turtle on Fabreeko is going to get rebuilt and rehomed somewhere else, because this is turning into a stealth changer. The one over here on Iron Dragon is going to get rebuilt to match the color scheme. Right? Thank you to Pez Liz for picking up the filament and bringing it, or letting me have the filament delivered to her and then bringing it to me at Printopia. And this is going to get full enclosure, the whole 9 yards. Bear with me 1 second, folks. My nose is deciding to run again. So, yeah, this is going to allow me to update all of the various box turtles that I have here to the final spec. And some of them will go on my printers, some of them will find new homes. So, hey, Kenneth D, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Something's killing your lungs and sinuses. Well, hey, go up to a house with, let's see, there wound up being 6 adults, a 2.5-year-old, and 6 dogs. Yeah, that was fun. And then while I was at it, because why not, I added to my collection of boards and 2 more CB2 boards. So one of these, I think I'm going to put one of these on the Optimus P1. So we're going to put a Manta M5P on the Optimus P1. We're going to run TMC 2209s for X and Y. The tool heads got an LGX Pro on it, because we did the Blue Storm Terra upgrade, and it's going to be running whatever the driver is. I'm sure it's probably a 2209 or 2240 on the Orange Storm Giga toolhead board. And then the Z drivers are currently external drivers, so we'll just pop those external driver step sticks from the original board onto the Manta. And the thought that we're having is, do we drive that 48 volt? Or hell, do we drive the whole thing 48 volt? I don't know. We're still trying to make a decision there. Hey, Job per Wapadabos. How's it going? Long time no see. You're running CB2 on a Pad 7? Yeah. I've got one of these running on one of my printers. It's it's the 0G build that's running one of these, and it works really well. The nice thing with the CB2 is it allows you to run a DSI display. If you're running a CB1, you cannot run a DSI display. You have to run either an SPI or HDMI display, which means if you're running an HDMI display, you need both an HDMI cable and a USB cable for the touch aspect of your screen if you're going to run a clipper screen. So it's just kind of annoying, but the CB2 takes care of that. Hey, other news. Because I just saw it in the corner of my eye. Let's go over to the full display over here. And Bamboo made an announcement recently. And that announcement is the, where is it? The Bamboo. Seriously, where are you at? One of these. There we go. The BambuLab P2S. So this kind of looks, quite honestly, I haven't looked at any of the P2S stuff. Not a lick. This is literally my first look at it is pulling up the web page for this stream. I know it was releasing now. I was kind of hoping that Waters would jump on the stream because he probably has some more information on it since they're a Bamboo reseller. I need to go and take a look at some of the stuff that the folks that had the review units have been saying about it. But I did hear Canuck Creator saying that the VFAs are definitely a thing on this new printer. But they basically took the P1S and added some upgrades to it. Definitely looks like they upped the screen on it and took the screen from the X1C and moved it down from the looks of it. Just some literature. Yeah, there we go. 5-inch refresh touchscreen. Like I said, kind of looks a lot like the X1C. Looks like the covering is updated a little bit nicer too. Cold air cooling. Is your filaments ready? Okay. How about them P2S? Yeah. Zombie, do you have one of these already? Do you have one of these already? Does have the quick swap nozzle, so this looks like they took that's the A1 style nozzle, right? And swapped it over, or swapped it into here, which will make it a lot easier. It should just be the clip in the front, and then you can pull the nozzle out, meaning your ceramic heater stays on the tool head versus being on the hot end. So your hot end isn't going to have a thermistor or a heater that stays on the tool head itself, and you're just swapping in basically the heat throat and the nozzle. CH2 nozzle, okay. PMSM servo extruder, we'll see. I mean, servo motors are kind of an expensive solution. Don't know if it really is needed, but we'll see. I need to see some real-world results and some real-world testing out of them. Same extruder as H2S, so it's really good. Yeah, I've seen the H2S, and I've seen the H2D because they have one of each down at Ecovate. And I printed with the H2D. I haven't printed with the H2S yet. Has clog detection. Well, that'll be good. Autoflow dynamics calibration. Yep. Not a lot new there. New to the P2 or the P series, but not really new to the X1 or higher. Active venting filament drying. Okay, that's just the AMS2 Pro. AI error detection. Okay. It's got the camera in it. Sample prints. User experience as good as a smartphone. So what I can tell of just these screenshots, it does look very much like the Bamboo screens. And okay, I will tell you that I was sitting there going, "What?" I was down at Ecovate and I was like, "Why are your screens looking so much different than my X1C screens?" And then I realized that I had never, since I unboxed these, I have never updated the firmware on them. And I have really no intentions of trying to jailbreak them or running the other firmwares on them. So I just finally updated these. Maybe it'll get rid of some of the idiosyncrasies. Maybe it won't. All right, cool. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to see one down at the store soon. I'm not sure though. But yeah. And then, oh, zombie. Since you're here, we'll go to the bench side camera. What do you think about this? And if anybody knows what this is, let me know. I mean, this might give it people a clue. Yeah, Evil Diesel, I think you know what this is. But yeah, this is a pretty hefty piece. And this fit on the BambuLab, but it was pretty much max build volume side to side. A jet ski jet? No, but close. So Thursday, I need to try and reprint some stuff, but Thursday I will show you its kissing cousin, and then let me see if you may be able to pick out what that is. Just because I don't want to go down and try and dig it out of a box right now. But it is part of some larger prints that I'm doing, and if you were down at the Maker Meetup, you probably know. You probably know. But yeah, it is in Zombie Hedgehog Red. And I was having problems with the other set of prints that are going where I keep getting AMS motor, what is it? Overloaded. And while this is not unique to your spool alone, Zombie, it's a lot of the Polymaker spools. This issue right here, right? A crinkled edge, trying to run in an AMS or Ace Pro or anything with a roller system that has some type of guide on it. And the thing is it's the vacuum bagging, right? And so what happens is it keeps doing that. Well, the problem is it's a 15, 16-hour print, and it doesn't happen when I'm sitting right here. It happens when I'm up in Virginia trying to, I start a print and I go up to Virginia, and it's a 5-hour drive up there. I get up there, check on the print, and realize it's been sitting idle for the last 3 hours because it overloaded, because it happens to try and pull right as that little compressed edge hits that spool guide. Yeah. Very, very frustrating over the last couple of days while I was up in Virginia with my brother having surgery, trying to monitor prints back here. I finally just killed it and waited until I got home and had to restart. But yeah. Other than that, it's a beautiful sparkly Galaxy Red. Now if they could just make the ABS and ASA that same red, that would be great. Yeah, I will. So, that's not what I wanted. We're going to go back over here. It looks familiar, TJ Magneto? Well, if you know what it is, throw it out there. Or a Voron Galaxy Red. I mean, it's semi-close. So here's that extruder motor as it's getting exploded out. That's going to... We'll see. like I said, I don't have an opinion of this extruder motor because I have never used this extruder motor. But from what I know, servo motors should be more precise, which should give us a smoother extrusion capability. So we'll see. Like you said, I'm pretty sure it's in the H2S, and I'm pretty sure it might be in the H2D as well. So that's going to be good. Hopefully we'll get, if it's pretty powerful, hopefully we'll get a little bit more flow out of the nozzles and the machine itself, so that'll be good. But at the end of the day, it kind of mentions it. It kind of mentions it here on the screen. 8.5 kilogram of extrusion force, which is 70% more than its predecessor, improves high flow rate extrusion stability. And that's the key. You need stable and consistent extrusion, especially if you're either going to, one, go high speed, or two, go crazy high flow rate, right? If you're not able to keep that consistency going, or you're overtaxing the motor and it's getting too hot, you'd be much better off slowing it down and giving the motor a break. Otherwise, you're going to run into more extrusion consistency issues. Smooth at every corner always. I'll see it when I can believe it. Active flow rate compensation, eddy current pressure sensor. Okay, so there it's sensing where it's looking is it looks like it's checking the pressure of the filament as it's going into the tool head. And like Zombie saying, that should be able to catch both clog detection and a few other things. Can you connect the MMB over USB, or do you need to run CAN to USB converter from the Pi? You can flash it and run it over USB, but you're still going to have to supply the 24 volt and ground to the CAN connector. So you still have to run power to it regardless, but you can run it over USB. You're just going to have to reflash the board to do it. Technically, every CAN board you can do that. You just have to run 24 volt and ground so that the motor drivers have the right current. And yeah, does that have the 4-pin microfit 2/2, or does it have the? I don't think that has the XT30 2+2. Right, it's the 4-pin microfit 3 connector, because we can fabricate a cable tomorrow if you got the wire. Oh, it's XT30? All right. Let's talk about that tomorrow. We can figure out a positive way of doing that. So yeah, if they're using that eddy current pressure sensor there, that should be good, but this is not pressure advance. This is adjusting the flow rate based on the back pressure that it's feeling at the nozzle or at the top of the tool head. Perfect overhang no matter the filament or temperature. That's still slicer settings though. If you're overcooling or undercooling, it's still going to have issues. So this statement may be great for bamboo filament, and running everything out of the bamboo ecosystem, but trying to run some other filaments, maybe. Yeah, well, but here it says that it's pulling cold air from the outside. So it's not pulling air from inside the chamber and blowing it across. It says it's pulling it from the outside, which could cause issues if you're running ABS or anything else, nylon, PC, or something else through it. 50C chamber ready for engineering grade filaments. There's the engineering grade filaments there. Hey, we've got, filtration system going. It looks like a pretty beefy HEPA filter. A big turbo cooling fan. We'll see. Looks good, but we'll see. ABS cycles from the chamber, so it has a vent that can close. You really like the handles? Peace of mind every time you print. So hopefully it got a better camera. Hopefully they grabbed the camera from the X1C, because the one on the P1S sucks. The rate is so bad. So spaghetti detection, nozzle clumping. That would be nice if it does that. I have yet to have it catch nozzle clumping on the X1C or the P1S. So purge shoot jam. Pick that up, but not from the... So normally on a purge shoot jam, what it picks up for me isn't the jam at the purge shoot per se, but it'll drag the purge back into the print chamber. So... Oh, it's the MCU that can't handle the higher. Okay, there you go. 30-second nozzle swap. This, like I said, this is going to be nice. Hey, Waters, just make sure you let the nozzle cool down before you try and change it, right? I know we've had to talk about the build plates. Let it cool down fully. Then it comes off the plate. No lag, live view, and high quality time lapse. Once again, that's going to be, if they've upped the MCU so the MCU can take it, then that'll be great. That'll be great, because that's one of the cruddiest parts with the P1S is the camera, or whatever, it lags, right? It's great to say, yep, it's moving, and that's about it. X1C is officially dead with the release of the P2S, in my opinion. Well, I will not buy another X1C most likely. If I get another Bambu printer, it would probably be an H2S just because of the larger print volume. But it's to each their use case, right? And the P2S does look like it's grabbed a lot of the stuff out of the X1C. Now are we gonna see an X2C? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I think with the updates that they're putting in the P2S launch, it's not going to be it's not going to be a 2-for-1 like you would be able to do today, where you can buy two P1Ss or P1Ps for the cost of a X1C. Right? I think they're going to come closer to price parity, and in that case, you might as well kill off one of the lines. Unless, of course, you're Creality, and then you just run 15 different versions of Ender 3 lineup, and they're all the same, very much. All right, have a good work, Zombie. Hardened steel nozzle, hardened steel extruder gear, that's good. AMS2 Pro. Basically, the AMS itself is... Are they even selling the AMS itself anymore, Waters, or did they kick the bucket on that completely? Creality. Yep. Yep. And the reason I'm asking Waters is because, once again, they're a Bambu reseller, so he would know if they were killing the AMS outright. They should still provide replacement parts for a while, but I think most people are going to go to the AMS2 or the AMS2 Pro, where you've got the active drying. An electromagnetic air vent. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I will say this. I have sat there with there's a reason this AMS unit back here is open. Because if it's closed over top of a prolonged print, it will warm that chamber up and it releases the air from, or the moisture from the filament, but it stays trapped in the unit. So it just soaks right back in, right? You've got to open it up, and then I've seen a 10% drop in my reading just by opening this up and letting the air circulate some and then closing it back down. So seriously, babysitting, I'm telling you. Okay, so maybe they're going to keep them around. That'll be good. What else do we have here? Built-in 2-in-1 buffer equipped with AMS combo. Okay, so this sets you up already to not have to keep pulling a whatchamacallit, you don't have to take a tube out and then plug in a different PTFE tube to go from the external, which is good because I can't tell you how many times I forgot to, I've unloaded the external spool and I forgot to put the PTFE tube from the AMS back in. And then next thing I know, I'm like, why is this not loading? And I'm just spooling off filament into the wild. So yeah, flat base plate feels like a direct response. Well, it's not per se a direct response to the P2S diaper. Or I'm sorry, the BQ Panda diaper, because the PQ Panda diaper, you have little loops that you can pick up that Panda diaper, bring it over, dump it in the garbage, shake it off, and then lay it back in there. This just makes it easier because right now, when you try and go in there and pull stuff up from the edges or go in with the Hodo and vacuum it or something, you keep hitting all those little divots and I don't know why they're there. I don't know if they were part of the bed locking mechanism. I don't know. But making it flat is always going to be aesthetically pleasing. And it's better when you're going in there and trying to scoop up the stuff that just randomly falls at the bottom. Now, what they really need to do is have some type of print that covers up the well for the lead screws and stuff. The integrated lift handle at the bottom, that's, like you said, Waters, that's nice. There isn't one on any of the other printers, so you wind up just having to reach in and grab it underneath. And eventually, like one of my Centauri carbons that we got into and replaced the light on, that's a thin sheet steel, and you'll cave it in by lifting just the weight of the printer up with it. So that's pretty nice. They added the handles in there, and it just makes it easier and safer to carry. Shatter safe front glass. So Uncle Jesse proofed it. That's good. I mean, it looks good. It really does look good. The specs are looking good. It's still the same size, which means all of your previous build plates would still work and all of that good stuff. Specs. Yeah, 256, 256, 256, plastic and steel, plastic and glass. Same everything else. Max nozzle temp 300, so close. So close. If they can get a 320 to 350 nozzle and a tool head that would be robust enough to hold it. 0.4 included, 2468 available, built-in filament cutter, flex plate, textured plate, all the different types of plates, 110 on the bed. I don't know what the speeds are on the original. I'm assuming it's right there in the same range. It's the same motion system, so it shouldn't be any different. Interesting. So they may have it. They must have a different. They must have something different there. So PAHT, PPACF, and PETCF I know are above a 300 print temp, unless they're running a specific blend and they're only talking about their filament. That's good that he did not shatter the P2S door. Cutter's in the back left now, that's good. Well, it just makes the whole cutting thing easier because they had to bring it all the way forward, over to the left, and then back out, and then back. When I was doing my box turtles, I had my purge poop, the kick, and the cutter all at the back left on my 2.4, so it was all in one spot. So it reduced the amount of time it needed to move around. And it did everything right there, so it saves time. I never saw why they were coming up to the front left to do the cut and then doing this big motion back to the back and everything. Probably atomic spark. Because it also doesn't have a chamber heater, but to sit here and put PPACF and PETCF in there, you really need to be around 320 for those, not 300. And 300, running a hot end at its max is just asking for it to hit a thermal issue and shut off the printer mid-print. So you'll start having failed prints. But I mean, let's also face it, the P2S is not your designed, thank you. It's not your designed engineering material high-end top-end system. This is one of their next, well, it's their entry-level Core XY that stands toe-to-toe with the A1. So now somebody made a comment here earlier that it is released, and yeah, I just clicked on buy. It is released, but it is not released in the US yet. So I think Canada can do it, and I think China and some of those folks can do it, but we're down at a notify me when available in the US. So yeah. And that kind of brings us back to this. So this is where we get to have a heart-to-heart. So let me bring this around. Yeah, there we go. So heart-to-heart. Dragon screwed up, right? So what I was doing was we were trying to get the top gantry onto the base for the Ender 3 Next Gen. And things were not lining up. It was tight. Stuff was off. So I went and tried to drill out the holes for the blind joints a little bit more because I noticed some of them were at a slight angle. Yeah, that did not turn out well. we now have a peg where I sheared off a drill bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut new sides and drill these out. I'll drill them out on the drill press to make sure that they are straight up and down. Oh, yes, we are in an ad break. All right, everybody should be back. Thank you for mentioning that, Atomic Spark. So I'll go through that again. The delay on the U.S. release and or price info is likely from what happened on last Friday. What happened last Friday? I have not been paying attention to the news, quite honestly, other than, the Israel thing. I have not been paying attention to the news. So literally, what happened Friday? Did we do another embargo or tariff? Okay. Well, that's fun. That's fun. I can say I'm not surprised, but yeah. Sorry, that was me doing the lid on my coffee. Gotcha. So, long story short, we were trying to get the gantry piece here installed on the printer. Things were not lining up the way they should be, and I decided I was going to go ahead and try and drill these holes out some more to give me a little bit more play in trying to do the blind nuts. Well, there's my 4.5 millimeter drill bit right there. So, one, I'm going to have to get a couple of drill bits. Two, I am going to cut new 310 millimeter 2040s because I have some available. I'll cut those and I will re-drill the blind holes on these, and I will do that using the drill press so that they're nice and straight. I will probably drill them a little bit oversized just to be on the safe side, and we will attempt this again. Can't guarantee I'll have it done by Thursday, but definitely by Saturday we should be back on the NG. Thursday, if I'm not ready to do this, we will do something else. I will have other stuff that we can do. Whether that's, hey, let's build a tool head for the printing stell changer, or hey, let's bring that printer over here and we'll put the door buffer and the clicky clack door on it, which are parts that I have printed, things like that. There are things that we can do on other builds while we're waiting, but yes, I am not going to sit here and say, oh, it went perfect, and just recut, re-drill, and do everything in the background as if nothing happened. Nope. This is a problem when you build printers. Sometimes you have a great idea and you're like, oh, this is going to work, and then you go snap. I think we busted a tap when we were tapping the ends too. It happens. It's part of the process, right? So it's part of the process. It's frustrating as all get out. It's an easy enough thing to fix. You just have to make a new extrusion or what have you. But if you don't want any of that frustration at all, then, yeah, you get one of these, you get one of these, right? It's pretty simple. Oh, yeah, that's something else we can do. In other news, actually, let me come back over here. As you can still see me, but we can also come up here and I think it's the Centauri Carbon 2, right? Do they have... Woo! Yeah, down to $300 plain for that. Do they have the Centauri 2 listed yet? I know that they teased it. Nope, that's the original. Okay. Let's come back here. Come back. Okay, I know there's been teasers out, and I don't necessarily want to go to a bunch of people's. Multicolor printing. Okay, that's kind of a press announcement. Yeah, so here's some of the initial leaks or the pictures. This is once again over in the Far East. But yeah, it looks like it's going to have most likely a plastic top hat that sits on top of the printer. And it looks like your spools are going to sit on the side, and you're going to have that AMS unit right attached to the top. So this looks a lot like the 85X. Okay, that picture right there with the 4 spools sitting on the side and this box hanging or mounted right to the side, that screams 85X with a little top hat enclosure. Right, there's that top hat. Not sure how I feel about that. Let's see if we make this a little bit bigger. Four wire closed loop for the auxiliary fan. 4 wire closed loop for the chassis temperature control fan rather than 2 wires. So that'll make it hopefully a little bit quieter. And they're both 120 millimeter fans versus a 75 and an 80. HEPA H12 filter, so it will have air purification. All right. Same machine size and all. A little bit larger screen, so they're going to a 5-inch capacitive touchscreen, and that's probably just to make it easier with the multi-material and being able to select your different spools. So yeah, not a lot changed, but just enough. Now the question is will there be an upgrade path for the Centauri Carbon, which is what it made it sound like when they shipped them? If it's a no, to get multicolor, you have to go to a CC2, that's going to piss me and a bunch of other people off that bought them and bought into them, knowing that the multicolor solution will come down the road. Now, it would require a new side panel as well as the 4 spool holders and then everything up here, but it already has the cutter. It's already got the poop chute. Like, it was set and ready to go. So, you know, if it's much of side panel and stuff and you keep your 4.3 screen, or side panel and everything, we have to give you a new screen. None of that's really crazy. It's not a crazy update. Few screws, take a panel off, put a new panel on, put the screws back in, mount up your 4 sprung spool holders so you can get that roll back when you do a retract. You know, pull your display off, put a new display on, mount this. This will have to get some power to it though. That'll be the big thing, is whether or not the original Centauri Carbon has the power overhead to support that. And I can't tell if that's a 4 come in, 1 come out, or if there's 4 PTFE tubes going into a 4-into-1 at the tool head. Yeah. That's what I want. There we go. So, I mean, Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of the feedback, is people that are getting annoyed that you know, if there is not an upgrade path, that's going to be annoying, because they basically promise an upgrade path, and if there isn't, that's going to annoy a lot of people. So what do you guys think? For those of you that have Centauri Carbons or P1Ss, are you looking forward to these upgrades? Or are they just kind of, a little bit too little, too late? You'll probably go to a different solution anyway. What's everybody's thoughts? I know, as long as they've got a path forward for the Centauri Carbon to be able to add the you'll go with the P2S, or you'll just stay with the P1S. Yeah, that's my biggest thing, is it would be more of, it would feel very bait and switchy. Now, granted, it was a $300 printer, but it prints fabulous. I love mine, and I know you love yours, Evil Diesel, because you know you bought them based on my recommendation. I know you're using the crap out of them too. They're great printers, and at most I would upgrade one of mine to the multicolor system just to try it out and compare and contrast it with the other. You know, we've got the AMS, we've got the box turtle, we've had the MMU3 on here. The MMU3 is going to go over on the Core 1, right? We've got the Ace 2 with the Anycubic. So we're just waiting on this one to come in and give that a try. Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is what is it going to be when it comes out? What's the price going to be when it's made available in the U.S.? And, you know, who's going to have the stock, right? Because I'm sure that they were ready to release, and it was just whether or not they're going to have to change the prices, because I would assume that big players like Micro Center and stuff should have already had the ability to grab pre-orders. I don't know. That's an assumption on my part, but we'll see how it all plays out. I'm interested to see where the landscape's going. I'm also very interested in grabbing doing my stealth changer, because I really do think that tool changers are going to be a way forward. I want to get an index when it comes available, because so my tool changers, the black box keeps the extruder on the gantry. It's basically picking up the hot end and its cooling mechanism, which in the case of the black box is a water chilling system, right? When you go to stealth changer, every tool head is a full and complete tool head, which means one, weight, and two, you're buying a lot of parts. So you're going to have 4 extruders, 4 hot ends, 4 heaters, 4 thermistors, right? With the index, it's very similar to what we just saw with the P2S and the A1 system, where the heater, the extruder, and all of that stays on the tool head, and you're just picking up the heat throat and the PTFE tube, and when it mounts it, it sucks it up to the ceramic heater that inductive heats it, right? So it should be a pretty quick, relatively simple system, and you're not buying multiples of something to add a new tool head. If you want to add another lane, it's one piece instead of having to buy one full set of full extruder hardware, right? When you start looking at the tool heads we've got, orbiter extruder, 40, 50 bucks. Then you've got your actual hot end itself. What do I go with? Well, I don't know. I'm going with the conchs, which are, once again, 40, 50 bucks. If you go with something like a tube compact, you're now $120 just for the tool head, and you still don't have a heater or a thermistor yet. Oh, plus you need some way of running all that, which means now you're going to need a tool head board for every tool head, and all the cabling, and and it just keeps multiplying, right? It's an exponential problem, where if you've got one tool head board with one extruder and all you're doing is picking up that filament path with the nozzle and a heat throat and a nozzle that you're heating up, life becomes real easy. It gets real cheap to add a new lane, right? So yeah, we'll see when it hits the market and what we see. Like I said, there's got to be a backward path for the Centauri carbon. If it's just the CC2 is the only way to get color, then that's a foul, right? You told me one thing and you came out with another. That's not going to be good. And I think a lot of people in the Elegoo community are going to throw a fit about that. So Blue Chocobo, we talked about a few things. We talked about some stuff that we got in the mail, which was some new Panda Claw gears, right? Because we need to do some preventative maintenance on the X1Cs behind me. We got some new BQ nozzle scrubbers. So all 3 of the 2 X1Cs and the P1S are going to have the nice nozzle scrubbers now. We talked about me getting a set of 4 Big Tree Tech IO boards. One, of course, is going to go with the enclosure that's going on Iron Dragon, but the other 3 will go into base box turtles. We also got 4 sets of the injection trays. Now these are the trays, right? Yeah, I know, false advertising is what I'm thinking of. Now the trays, whoops, are the actual injected molded trays, and they've got the cutout for the desiccant, but that part's not in the box from what I can see. So you will have to print your own desiccant holders and the lids, but I mean, we've got probably enough to, what, you get 1, 2, yeah, like we got way more inserts than we actually need, but they're there. But we got 4 sets of these, so I can update 4 of my box turtles. I'm going to be upgrading all of my box turtles to the latest and final spec, so that they're all up to date. And somewhere around here, it might be downstairs, I've also got 4 sets of the rubbers, which is the wheels, the covers for the wheels. What else? There's something else that gets... Whatever. I've got those. So yeah, they're gonna. Well, so I've got multiple box turtles, right? I was part of the beta test for the box turtles. Do I? I did not. Thank you. Okay, Eagle, I don't need anything. But I was part of the beta test for the box turtles, so I've got like 2 up there, 1 here. There's 2 or 3 downstairs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, rebuild it as an enclosed version with the right color scheme to match Iron Dragon. Now that Tesliz was nice enough to allow me to ship filament to her from Sparta 3D to bring to me. So I'll be able to print that out and get that going. This is going to get an all-wheel drive LDO kit for the Trident with a Jabberwocky and an upgraded box turtle enclosure set. This box turtle is going to get rebuilt and probably go on something else, because this printer is the one we're converting into a stealth changer, a 4-head stealth changer. We can put one over on the rat rig. We've got the rat rig over here. And like I said, the 2 or 3 that are downstairs, I'll rebuild. And I'm either going to put those on something, or I'm going to sell them as complete units, just to make room. Oh, nice filament storage. You mean rat rig? Yeah. So I've got filament all over the place. I've got filament on this shelf. I've got filament in the closet. I've got a rack over there of open spools. I've got drawers. Yeah. We built these drawers that I can hold like 7 spools, and I've got 8 drawers down here. I've got filament stacked under the rat rig down there. I've got a bunch of it over on the floor. I've got stuff in the rat rig. This is technical filament that needs to stay dry. So this is TPUs and polycarbonate and nylon, stuff like that. This is just some ABS, ASA stuff that I threw in there real fast to get it off the floor so I don't trip and kill myself. Yeah, I got enough filament that I can take the filament that's on my shelf, put it in the store, and look like I'm pretty well stocked. What is that? MBI in a box turtle. Yeah, can't have enough, really. And it was killing me, because I knew how much filament I had, and I knew I was going to, I knew how much filament I had, and I knew we were going to 3D Printopia, and there were going to be sales at 3D Printopia. And then everybody and their brother, because it was near Prime Day, was having their sales. And it was killing me not to go and buy filament. And then we get out to 3D Printopia, and Joel gave me 3 spools of filament. Polymaker Joel gave me 3 spools of filament, and I grabbed the 2, they were, Filamentum PM, Sparkle Green ABS, and that tub of stuff that you gave Mrs. Dragon, Zura, to go and leverage at the filament exchange. So yeah, I was like, well, there's 2 spools, they're unopened, they're sparkle green, I'll use them. If I like a color, or if I'm interested in a color, I have to get at least 2 spools. One would be good normally for accent colors, but you run the risk of not having enough if you have print failures. So 2 spools of any color is always a good, like if you're going to buy one to try, if you're doing a colored, get 2 spools. If you're getting a spool of like PET CF or PPS CF to try, get 1 spool. It's expensive enough as it is. You like to have at least 30? Yeah, like I said, I've got, trying to do math real fast. I've got easily 400 spools of filament here at the house. Easily. That's why I always tell, you like to have at least 5 white or 20 black. I've got a case of black PCTG from 3D Fuel downstairs, and a case of black ASA, I think it's eSun, black ASA downstairs. Because I go down to EPAX and I'll buy the ASA from them by the case. Did you just say Evil Diesel now he is joking about having 400? Or am I joking about having just 400? Or that I'm not joking about having 400? Because I could probably count 200 just in this room. Okay. There we go. That sounds better. But yeah, we are coming into Toys for Tots season. Yes and no. So the paper spools, when they're empty, they go to the recycle bin with all the boxes. And I swear they've got to be losing their mind, because I could easily fill up an entire dumpster by myself over a month with all the spools and all the boxes. But yeah, that's just because we retail therapy shop. The plastic spools I had been keeping, I need to talk to EPAX and see if they could just reuse them, if they want me to bring them back to help reuse them. But I don't know if it's worth giving them spools to box back up and then ship back overseas to be reused. You know what I mean? And we were able to send stuff to Greengate, and Greengate stopped taking spools this year. And we had like 2 full boxes that we had taken to Rocky Mountain, and they didn't take any of them. So but yeah. So this was going to be a light and airy conversational day to day, because like I said, I screwed up. I need to go through and recut some profiles and get some stuff going. I guess there's probably some other stuff that we could read ahead and look on, but and then honestly, so did this one hang again? Seriously, come on. Me and that AMS are going to wind up taking both my AMSs down and tearing them apart and trying to clean them up. So the back panel, so this is kind of where we were on the Ender 3 NG. And I'm reprinting the back panel with the full dual color back panel that'll highlight the hexagons a little bit better. And yeah. So I am reprinting the back panel to this, so I will redo that. But the base is going to stay the way the base is. The base will stay the way the base is. Some of the other stuff's going to get reprinted, and then the gantry will stay the way that it is, other than having to take it apart to replace those two front stringers. You hate the AMS one, took it off rather, yeah. Like I said, the AMS works beautiful. The issue I'm having is some of the Polymaker spools, they'll hang up because you've got a roller, but there's a guide piece on the roller that one of the sides is supposed to go in. And what's happening is as you get an edge that rolls over, it catches in that and it hangs. And if it does it right as it tries to pull, it will throw that error of the motor being overloaded. When it's not, it's, well, I mean, I guess it is, but it's a problem with the spool, not the AMS. Now, I could probably get around that some by doing a Python mod or something like that, but I really, surprisingly enough, I never had the desire to do the Python mod. And I know Waters has done, I think he had a Python mod that he did that he's since ripped back out because he didn't like it that well. And I haven't thought about doing an AMS2 Pro here. I want to ask him how it's worked out down at the shop because I know they have at least one running at the shop. So I guess I could probably get K2 Kevin. I'm sure he's got several going. Let's see, what else? So I do have the electronics box from the Optimus P1 here. We did take that off earlier this past week, and I brought that home so I can start working on rebranding it. And by rebranding it, I mean I've got a Manta M5P here that I can rebrand. I'm going to replace the CB1 with a CB2 module, and that way we have a different set of displays that we can use. I'm literally thinking about running like a 10-inch display because it's a huge printer, right? It's a 600 by 600 by 1000 print volume. So I think having a big display that you can just basically rotate out from the side would be kind of cool to have. We only need 5 driver slots. XY, it has the extruder slot, but we're eating that because we're going with a CAN bus board now. So we just need X and Y and 2 slots for Z because it's running it's running NEMA 23s and ball screws for the Z drive, and they're external drivers. So they're actually running, and I have no idea what the number is on them. I'll probably try and take one off and look for it, but it's basically like an external driver like you would see in a straight up CNC machine. It's currently using a 800 watt 24 volt power supply, and I'm also thinking about at the very least swapping it from one big power supply into 2 smaller power supplies and running the Y motor, excuse me, not the Y motors, I was thinking about running the NEMA 23 motors at 48 volts, but now I'm also sitting here going, why not run all the motors at 48 volts and just run the board itself at 24? So that way all the fans and all that goodness would run 24 volts. The extruder, which is an LGX Pro going into a tube, would run at, I'm assuming, 24 volts because that's what would be pushed over the CAN bus to it. But if I run 48 volts, I either need to run everything as an external driver or swap these out because I do not believe the Manta board can take anything over 24 volts on the motors. I'd have to double check that. And if we need to, I mean, we've got other boards that we can use too. I've got a couple of Octopus boards here, which I know I can run 48 volts through. But yeah, that's something that we're looking at. Because with the external drivers, even if it will only let me do 48 volts to the X and Y, that works for me because I can run 48 volts to the X and Y and then inject 48 volts in the stepper driver itself for the Z's because they're the external drivers. And so that works pretty well for me as well. So I'll see if the Manta M5P can take it, and if not, then maybe we'll look at one of the other cards I have and do something else. Now the other thing that we've got to do is because that has a beacon probe on it, we need to also look, it's currently got a glass build plate on it, so I need to figure out how thick the glass build plate is. Because if it's too thick, we may not be able to do, beacon contact with it. Because if it's too thick, it won't read it won't be able to sense the distance fast enough to the underlying plate, and then we'll run into a problem. And if that's the case, then we're going to have to figure out a 600 by 600 PEI and mag bed. Which would suck, but it's doable. So what do y'all think? Let's see, what does the Big Tree Tech Manta M5P allow? Let's see. Manual of the user. Come over here and take a look real fast. Four 12 5 volt for fans, thermistors. Do PT1000 without an extra module. That's always good to have. Driver input voltage, 12, 24 volt or high voltage, 24 to 56 volts selectable. So, looks like we could potentially run these at a higher voltage. They don't have the super beefy caps on them, like, of course, like a Kraken or something would, but I would be hard pressed to put a Kraken in that printer just because the overall quality of everything else in the printer. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's got good bones. It's thick steel for the frame, and it uses 16 millimeter HGM rails on everywhere. So all four corners, the Y and the X are HGM 16, which are some beefy rails. 16 millimeter ball screws with NEMA 23. So I mean, it's got good bones. It was pretty much everything in the electronics box was kind of meh. But then again, it's also an early 2000s printer. You're not done yet. Off the insanity. Right. Okay. So if you broke out your filament rewinder and a plastic spool and transferred the damn, you know what? The filament rewinder is right down there, and that is a damn good idea. That is a damn good idea, because I do have some spare. What I normally do is respool onto the EPAC spools because they're plastic and they work. I probably wouldn't do 56 volt just because it's easier. I've got some 48 volt power supplies here, Evil Diesel. And there's really no need to go to 56 volt because I don't think we're going to be pushing that fast, but you never know. Okay. I mean, it makes sense. It's easier to recycle, all that goodness. So it does make sense. It made more sense when we were hanging spools and they were rolling from the inside. As soon as you went to rolling on the outer edge, it's bad. We need to build a because we can style. There you go. Yep. So it looks like any of the Manta boards should be able to do it. I mean, I also could call up Hector or Daniel or Chris and be like, "Hey, do either one of you want to send me a like a LDO Leviathan board for this braid refit?" We'll see. We'll see. Cool. Well, I really don't have a whole heck of a lot. Like I said, I think this is going to be a shorter stream. This is just me coming back in and saying hi, getting back into the swing of things, because I think we missed Thursday and we definitely missed Saturday because of the maker meetup. And I've got a few things to do tomorrow. In fact, I got to log back into my work laptop, which is buried under some stuff right now, and finish getting a presentation ready for tomorrow. PowerPoint Ranger stuff. Hey, Ozzy, how's it going? How's it going? Hope you're doing well. And remember, when we go to do our Jabberwocky, we've got our PPS CF mounting shuttle for that. So that should help make that pretty solid as well, because we'll have the PPS CF annealed mounting shuttle and an all-wheel drive system for the Jabberwocky going into the Trident over here in the corner. So that'll be a nice little upgrade as well. That's going to make it a nice rigid tool head and gantry system on that Trident. Complete with the Jabberwocky and the enclosed box turtle. So I think that's going to go good. Waiting for some parts on your A1s. Gotcha. And working on a new printer. Nice. Yeah, we've got a stack of upgrades here. These are the Big Tree Tech IO boards, or excuse me, Big Tree Tech, Box Turtle IO boards, as well as sets of the injection molded trays, because these are the things that take the longest to do. And I'm going to be updating all of my box turtles, one to be color correct matches rather than just random colors that I had. So I'm going to try and color coordinate at least the one for Iron Dragon, which is the Trident over here we're going to do upgrades on. It's going to be a fully enclosed version of the box turtle. And then my other box turtles that I built under the beta are going to get updated. I've got the ASC light boards and everything to update them to the latest and greatest final spec. And then we'll go from there. Like I said, I'll either get them on machines and on the line, or I may have one or two that I can either do giveaways or sell. You know, I may be thinking about some door prizes for the grand opening or soft opening of the store. You'll shoot me a DM with the connector. Oh, for the MMB board? I'm pretty sure I had one of those around here somewhere. Yeah. Look at the other storage cabinet, which is a very, very expensive storage cabinet for an MMB board. This is a version 1.1 populated, and it uses an XT30 2+2, like a lot of the CAN bus stuff. So I want to say these screw down terminals are if you're running higher voltage to your drivers. So this won't work for supplying power to the board. You still need to bring power to the board, I believe, through the XT30. And then you just don't connect the other end to anything, and you bring your USB-C in. Yeah, this is one of the boards that I used in one of the box turtles. So when you use the MMB for the box turtle, you had one of these and one of these. So you would bring a multi-pin connector from here, you would tie it into multiple pins to here, and then you would have your four small motors for the rewinders that got connected here, and this was power coming in. So this was the setup before they had the AFC Light all-in-one boards. Oh, probably put that back in the bag. Like I said, that's a pretty expensive storage unit right there. I need to get everything out of there and get that back up and running before I have to pull all the water lines because I didn't keep them clean or something. But yeah, it sucks when you're wanting to print and you're waiting on parts to get in. That's why I try and keep bench stock and why I try and keep most of my machines the same so I don't have too many one-off things. And if you have the one-off thing like the Anycubic, you go out and you buy a couple of spare hot ends and or nozzles and stuff like that, just to hopefully have stuff there when things break. And Waters, as much as I was complaining about having to buy that full shroud for the X1C to get the cooling fan, because the part cooling fan here burned up. It's not working. So you can't buy just the fan. You have to buy the full shroud, right? And this has got the jetpack and stuff on it. So I was contemplating, do I just disassemble the jetpack, which is the duct, and put that over onto the standard one? Or how do I do that? Or do I want to do that? And I think I want to put this back on, which means I'll move the fan back over to, I'll move the fan from the main shroud over to this, but I've got to figure out a way to not have to sit here and keep replacing the entire shroud for a freaking fan. Do I have a few, what, dozen M5 T-nuts? How do you want them? I've got the like flat nuts that you can slide in. Okay. I've got some roll-ins. I don't think that'll be enough though, but I might have some more I just haven't put in here yet. And then I've got some hammerheads as well. So for adjustments to the table, well, if you cut things straight, hoping not to have to take them all apart. Okay. Yeah, because were you using T-nuts or the roll-in nuts? Let me rephrase that. Were you using roll-in T-nuts? Were you using hammerhead T-nuts? What kind of T-nuts were you using? You will kick me with your cane. One cane would be C-A-N-E. Okay, you use both kinds. I mean, I'm sure I've got enough here that we can cover you, so let me know when you need them. Let me know when you need them. I've got to go in. You're talking cane from the Bible? Oh. Tomorrow when you're home? You said I'm going to be home tomorrow. So I've got a... So here's my dilemma. I've got a meeting where I'm briefing the boss. I've got a date, or I've got a time and a WebEx, but it doesn't have a room associated with it. So I think I'm just going to dial in from the house. Which means at some point tomorrow, I've got to go down to Prairie because I've got a dinner tomorrow. When you're home, or Mrs. Dragon. Yeah, Mrs. Dragon will be there. I'll be sure to set the M5 stuff here on the bench so that Mrs. Dragon won't have to go searching too much. But we've got M5 nuts here. We've got other M5 nuts here. And I'll even find the other ones that are the open builds ones that we got. They're kind of the flat ones that you have to slide in. So we'll have you one way or the other. So if you come while I'm still here, then great. If not, you'll be able to come and grab whatever we got. Cool. Well, folks, I'm not going to stay on here. Let's see who's up and running that we can raid into tonight. Looking around, Joel's on. Let's go over and join the Polymaker, folks. So thank you all for being here and hanging out with me tonight. Like I said, I know it's been a couple of days since I've been here streaming, but thank you for continuing to support me and me needing to take a little bit of break to get some things done and to help out with my brother. You guys are great. I really do appreciate it. All of this that you see here is, from you guys and helping to bring content to the channel for you all. So thank you very much for all that you do and all the support you give. With that said, we're going to go ahead and raid out for the night. I will see you all Thursday. If I can get the extrusions cut and drilled, then we'll continue with the Ender 3 and G build. If not, we will do a slight pivot over to something for the stealth changer. So thank you all for being here. Have a great night, Kenneth. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Bye now. And for those of you that are watching this later as a VOD over on YouTube, thank you as well for being here and watching this. If you like what you see, please be sure to like and subscribe below. When you click subscribe, please go ahead and click that bell as well so you can be notified of future videos. Speaking of future videos, YouTube's going to be suggesting one right here for you. Thank you all.